The third chapter in Transforming Developmental Reading Through Information Literacy examines the differences between the traditional developmental reading course and the fully contextualized developmental reading courses, the pilot phases that we've gone through in there. The outlines for these follow the outline that you would see in the journal articles. So I want to very briefly, since we already talked about disciplinary literacy and contextualization, talk about these next three items in the review of the literature. Andragogy, we know, is from Malcolm Knowles, and it is a term that he coined in regarding to the teaching of adults. And we know in the review of the literature that andragogy follows that students are self-directed. They learn based on their life experiences, active engagement. It needs to be applicable for their life. They need to be motivated to learn, and it de-emphasizes a lecture. In college reading, we know that remediation does not provide students the discourse that they need to be successful in college level courses, and remediation does not give statistically significant results in pre and post tests. So we know that in college reading, students need to be exposed to a variety of print and non-print sources, and they need to be encouraged to make connections across all of these sources of text. Students also need to have a toolbox of skills and strategies. This is extremely important for struggling readers. We know that it can be effective in subsequent college level courses, but that just alone, those strategies may not adequately prepare students for those discipline-specific tasks. So we know that contextualization will hopefully allow students that opportunity to experience text in the meaningful, relevant way. But there really is, like I said before, little research regarding implementation of contextualization throughout a standalone reading curriculum. We believe that information literacy contextualized into a developmental education course will, especially a reading course, will increase students' self-confidence, transfer of skills, and retention. But there is little research regarding that. So we want to address the gaps in this redesign by offering a fully contextualized developmental reading curriculum that integrates information literacy for developmental reading students to help them gain literacy skills and information literacy skills for college level tasks. So we wanted to examine the differences in gain scores, final course grades, and persistence between a pilot curriculum and the traditional textbook curriculum. And you can see the independent and dependent variables there. So our research questions were in regard to the differences between the pre and post-test gain scores, between final course grades, and in persistence. And persistence can be defined as attending college the following semester. When we compare that between the pilot integrated information curriculum and the traditional textbook curriculum. The research design is quantitative and non-experimental because we have some naturally formed groups. It is non-random and purposive. Our treatment group is the pilot contextualized redesign. Our comparison group is that traditional textbook curriculum. The participants, when they come onto Chandler Gilbert's campus, anybody who is new to the college has to participate in 3 mandatory experiences. They take an AccuPlacer test to put them into reading, English, or math. They have a new student orientation and a group advisement session. Our pilot group consisted of a Reading 081 100 courses, and you can see the test scores that they needed for that, and a Reading 100 course. There was no textbook cost in that. And the comparison group were students who took the O91 course. So we had a total of 44 students for the pilot group and 241 students for the comparison group. In the instrumentation, we had some scenario-based pre and post tests. There was a scoring rubric, 1, 2, and 3. It was developed by Chandler Gilbert Community College. The library portion, the information literacy portion, had a test, retest reliability. The reading portion was brand new, and we'll talk about that reliability later. We also used the SPSS software package to track successful developmental course completion and fall to spring persistence. Our pre and post tests and our procedures were administered by faculty. They were paper pencil in the pilot and comparison classes. The pre-tests were done the first or second week of class. The post-test was done the final week of class. All of the tests were delivered to the lead reading faculty where they were kept in a locked cabinet. One faculty member in the library scored the information literacy portion and one scored the reading strategies portion. And that was done through a scoring rubric. SPSS was used to sort and analyze for gain scores. We used a paired samples t-test to look at the gain scores between students' own pre and post tests, and an independent t-tests for comparison's sake between the gain scores in the pilot group and the comparison group. Our Chandler Gilbert Community College institutional research will collect, sort, and analyze records for successful completion of the courses in the pilot and the comparison groups, where an independent t-test will be done in order to find the means for that. And then we also were looking at persistence, and that is the semester attendance in the next semester after the 45th day. Looking at Chapter 4, it is very, very familiar or very similar to Chapter 3, only this is now comparing a fully implemented program to the traditional program the previous fall. So again, the outline is similar. The review of the literature is similar, but we'll focus this time on student-centered learning, and knowing that this curriculum has taken us away from lecture to student-centered learning, where students are collaborating, making choices, utilizing strategies, and reflecting on the strategies that they used, and students are learning how to learn. And this is increasing their hopefully increasing their self-efficacy and deepening their understanding and retention. We are also using a project-based learning curriculum. These project-based assignments take some time to complete. It utilizes or integrates multiple concepts. It is very rigorous and relevant to students. They see the relevance of it because oftentimes their choice is involved. And it is scaffolded as they're going through. It also strengthens that social construction of knowledge and understanding because they are working in groups. Metacognition is the thinking about learning. Students take ownership of their learning when metacognition is involved in the curriculum. Students are more aware of their learning, they reflect on their learning and analyze what is working and what isn't in order to become more independent in their thinking and in their learning. So the statement of the problem is a lot like what we had before, but we know that at a national level, people are talking about developmental education and are finding that they are either eliminating especially reading programs or combining them with reading and writing programs. We know that, or recent data is showing us that eliminating developmental programs does not move the needle in persistence and success. Some combined reading and writing programs only focus on students in the higher levels of the reading and writing developmental courses. And oftentimes when those courses are combined, you may not necessarily have instructors that are skilled in teaching literacy strategies. So we wanted to be able to provide a curriculum that would meet the needs of students in reading. The purpose of this study is to examine the differences in pre- and post-test gain scores, final developmental reading course grades, semester persistence, and then moving towards also gateway course registration and successful completion of those. And we're comparing students in the new contextualized curriculum for fall 2015 for students in the traditional curriculum in 2014. Our research questions involve then comparing the differences in the gain scores in the pre and post tests, the final course grades, persistence, registration, and gateway course grades between the fall 2015 new curriculum and the fall 2014 old curriculum. Again, this is quantitative, non-experimental. Our participants, again, had the 3 mandatory experiences. Our treatment group is the 2015 Contextualized Developmental Reading Curriculum, no textbook costs, and we will have approximately 375 students. Our comparison group is approximately 241 students from the fall. Our instrumentation is the same as previously. We have the pre and the post tests. We have test, retest reliability, and we will also be completing some inter-rater and observer reliability for reliability of these scores. We will be using SPSS also for developmental course completion, persistence, registration, and completion of gateway courses. As before, we will have faculty administering these post-tests, delivering them to the lead faculty, where they will be scored by the same people who scored during the pilot as well. We will also have blind scoring, and we will use SPSS to analyze, sort, and analyze those gain scores. We will be using our institutional research to find successful completion of the grades and for persistence to the next semester, and comparing those between the 2014 and 2015 groups. We will also look at their successful gateway course registration and completion and comparing those to each other. And you can see the references in the PowerPoint. Thank you.